Brilliance Audio presents The Mysterious Strangler by Peter J. Heck. Performed by Will Damron. Café Diabelli was the finest place in all of Florence, or so it seemed on that sunny winter day in 1890-something, when I first happened upon it. I had come to Florence with my employer, Mr. Samuel L. Clemens, after a lecture tour in England. He had declared himself surfeited with rain and fog and cold, and almost the instant he had spoken the final syllable of his last scheduled lecture, had begun to pack for a warmer climate. So he and his family, and I, Wentworth Cabot, his secretary, found ourselves in sunny Italy. After my first day in the southern sun, I don't think John D. Rockefeller could have paid me enough to go back to an English winter. Mr. Clemens had found a villa in Settignano, about 5 miles east of Florence. Fortress-like Villa Viviani had been rebuilt and refurbished several times in its long life, but the foundations were said to date back to the 13th century. And its view of Florence and the hills to the west was enthralling, set off by a sky so clear and blue that it made me feel as if my eyesight had improved. No wonder this country had nurtured so many eminent painters and sculptors. From the moment I heard we would be wintering near Florence, I vowed to seize every opportunity to see the profusion of art that city offers. I spent many spare hours planning trips to the various galleries. I doubt any general laid more extensive plans for an invasion than I did for my stay in Florence. Unless my Baedeker neglected to mention it, I doubt there was any part of the city I left out of my plans. Knowing my interest in art, Mr. Clemens released me from my normal duties until the household was set up. "Go and gawk at the pictures," he said. "You'll get your fill of 'em soon enough. I'll get plenty of writing done without you in the daytime, and you can catch up with your part of things after supper." That struck me as a fair proposition, and I took advantage of it without hesitation. I had spent my first morning in the city dazzled by the sheer number of paintings that could be crammed into a single gallery, and I began to understand Mr. Clemens's offhand remark. "The best stuff is often hard to find." The curators seemed to have taken perverse delight in hanging the pictures one was most anxious to see in obscure and ill-lit crannies. So it was with a mixture of awe and frustration that I gave heed to the call of my stomach, and went looking for some place to eat, and stumbled upon Café Diabelli. Café Diabelli was unassuming from the outside, but the aroma of good food wafted out to the street, and drew me in before I knew it. I went up a couple of steps to a double door, entered, and found myself in a large room full of laughter and animated conversation. In one corner, by a bay window, was a bald-headed fellow with a round belly, a full beard, and the sort of profile one sees on ancient coins. The table in front of him had a stack of manuscripts on it, and around him were gathered a group whose clothes bespoke a bohemian lifestyle. He was pontificating upon some point, jabbing the air with a finger, and heads around him nodded as if hearing grave words of wisdom. Across the room was the chess players' corner. As I entered, 2 young Italians were carrying on a fierce battle, while a couple of spectators stared at the action. One player was a short and stout, dark-haired fellow, his opponent tall and blond, with a thin countenance. Opposites in every physical particular, like the black and white pieces of their wooden armies. Even as I glanced over at the scene, the blond fellow made a move capturing a pawn, and the watchers murmured as his opponent scowled at the new position.